Hey everybody, it's Chugga Conroy, and today marks 11 years since making my first Let's Play video ever. I won't bore you by saying that it gets even more unbelievable to be making one of these every year, because I say that every year, so what I wanted to do today was make a simple video of just thanking people for all that they've done for the channel over the years, and also just maybe sharing some stories about the projects that happened in the last year on the channel. Kind of more of a laid-back video. Certainly less stressful than what I did for last year, and we'll be getting into that later. Sharing stories about a previous anniversary video in an anniversary video. What I am grasping at for topics. Anyway, first off, I guess giving the thank you outs, as I have come to call them. Please come back, Electrical Beast. I would like to thank Motion Dan, kind of a new addition to the production process of these videos. He is a visual designer on the videos alongside Steven, and his first solo project of being the designer for was Phantom Hourglass. He's going to be doing a lot more on the channel. It seems like a lot of you like what he did with the visuals on Phantom Hourglass, and I am inclined to agree with what you think is good. Oh, of course, I gotta thank Steven, but that goes completely without saying with what I was just saying. I guess Dan's hogging all the limelight already. Second, of course, I have to thank Masayanella for making so many videos look awesome with her artwork, specifically in the last year of Black and White, and just for being very supportive in general. Proton John and Nintendo Capri Sun for being excellent co-commentators, and there's no one I'd rather co-host our game show with. I love doing Throne Controllers with you guys, and I'm glad that it seems to be going bigger now. I'm very happy that we have our theater show and that it's going to be able to tour to areas outside of conventions. It feels very surreal to be doing that, and I hope we can continue to do that with more shows in the future. And also I'd like to thank Adrisaurus and Family Jewels for being good friends who compliment me in more ways than just balancing out my total music ineptitude. You guys are great. Thank you to Maryland for listening to so many of my crazy ideas, giving feedback, and just generally knowing everything I don't. As for the projects in the last year, I've already mentioned Pokemon Black and White, and it feels completely strange to not still be working on that. It was the first Pokemon game that I wanted to make videos of since it first released. Now it's been a full year that it's been over, and it feels strange. It was a long series. I tried to include everything that I could just to show why I loved the game so much. I think I did overreact a little bit at times for how good of a game it was, but come on, it's Pokemon Gen 5. What's not to love? And don't you dare say Vanillux! He's adorable in his own doofy way. I mean, heck, this is coming from the guy who used a Trubbish on his team, so what do you expect? He released neurotoxins to influence my decision on the game. After that was Earthbound, which I have a story about. That was initially planned to release on the 10th anniversary of the channel instead of what I ended up actually doing for that day. But I wasn't able to hold to that, and I saw it as kind of more of an unneeded gimmick, so it coming out sometime within the 10th year is what I settled on. There are other games I'd like to do reduxes of. I get asked about this a lot, but I don't want to just do the same things over and over again. I'd rather space it apart between a lot of new stuff before going back to a past game again, but it's not an idea that I'm totally opposed to for early games, because like a hobbyist who didn't know that they were going to be doing this for this long, I used up a lot of my favorite games on my early years when I was awful at making videos, so there's a lot of potential there. I think Earthbound is proof that I would do things very differently now for a lot of these games, and I would like to explore that again in the future. I'm just glad that I could introduce more people into it, because it is a classic game that is every bit worth playing now as it was back in the day. There's a reason why it's often cited as one of the best aging games that there is. It's excellent. It doesn't try to be super complicated and pushing the limits of its technology, and instead just knows what it wants to be. And I think that that's led to Earthbound being enjoyed so much more present day than a lot of other games in the same era, where people find it kind of hard to go back to when, for instance, N64 games were trying to be the most realistic thing ever within the limitations of what it was. Besides, it's funny and adorable and oddly dark, so what else could you want? For Yoshi's Woolly World, the next one after that, I don't have a whole lot to say about or any stories that I'd like to tell about making those videos. It's not out of not enjoying it, it's just that it was kind of more of a simple game, and I liked making it a hybrid between the Wii U and 3DS versions, and it was kind of cool that Yoshi's Crafted World got a release date right as soon as I was finishing that up. It seems like that happens all the time. I wish I could say that I had a perfect record, but I think Earthbound broke the streak of sequels getting announced or dated as soon as I start Let's Playing a game, but hey, I guess 9 times out of 10 ain't bad. If there's anything about Yoshi's Woolly World in particular I'd like to share, it's that it was kind of nice to have all of my amiibo collecting finally mean something, and I do mean all of it. Yoshi's Woolly World's amiibo functionality is the most ambitious crossover event in history. There, I said it. Phantom Hourglass is still in progress. I don't see any sense in talking about it now because I kind of do that at the end of the project anyway, and there's no distance between me and finishing it, so I'll end up talking about that in due time. As for what we ended up doing for the 10th anniversary last year, where I did a documentary that was the production process of these videos, showing everything that goes into it and how certain decisions came to be, that video was probably the most stressful thing I have worked on in years. And no, I don't mean because it was a documentary and I don't typically make those, plus it was 2 hours. I mean that this video about my production process had a super convoluted production process in and of itself that I've been wanting to share for a while now, and I've told the story in a few places, but just call this me venting and kind of reminiscing on it a little bit. I knew that I wanted to do this once I was no longer married to the idea of Earthbound releasing exactly on the 10th anniversary. It was something that I wanted to do for a while, actually, as a place that I could point people with a lot of the questions I get about, oh, how'd you do this, or where'd you get the idea to do that, or, you know, why do you do this, or whatever. I thought it would be a really good video to just have as a source to answer people's questions, and maybe also help people get started on making their own videos at the same time, if I could. I got started on this video about 7 months before it released, and I thought, hey, that'll be perfect. That'll be definitely enough time to get this whole thing done. And under normal circumstances, probably yes. I worked on it in the background, little by little, working on the outline for the video, recording bits of it, editing it, capturing footage, doing all that. I thought I had it pretty down pat, and then the last month before it was going to release hit. I had the video about 50% done at the beginning of March. I had a yearly family gathering that I was at for the first week of March, so that week was bunk. I come home, and immediately, within a day of me getting home, I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to throw any one person under the bus who's in their technical legal right to do this, and there were some copyright issues that were not able to wait, and I had to immediately drop everything I was doing to work on those, and that ate up about 2 days' time. I wake up on my third day back, and I have a pain in my stomach. It's my appendix. I go to the hospital, spend the night there, come home the next morning, and as you can imagine, in recovery for the next week, I could barely sit up and I could barely stay awake. I think across that week, maybe each day I got in about 30 to 40 minutes of working on this thing, which equated to maybe like 30, 40 seconds of completed footage if I was lucky. It was awful. So that was now a whole week gone. At this point, I'm down to just a week before this thing releases, and I have to heavily crunch for it. In the last 72 hours before this video released, I slept for less than 10 hours. I specifically timed my sleeping to only be while I was waiting on renders or uploads or for people that I wanted to show clips of it to get back to me, which, by the way, I appreciate the test audience for that video that I credit at the end of it for doing on such short notice. I really do. It would not have gotten done on time without you. All because I wanted to release it on the day of the 10th anniversary and not a week later. Everything got in my way possible. Nothing could have happened on any other combination of days, and if it were just me, it would not have gotten done, so thank you. And thank you for watching it. I was really glad to hear that it did help some people. I still stand by that everyone should make test recordings every time. Please do. It will save you headache eventually. I might want to make an addendum to that in the future where I talk about more aspects of the production process, because it also has risen some questions that I found really interesting that I would have never thought of, and yeah, maybe I might do that someday. As for the future, I do talk about that a little bit in these, and I'd like to a little bit in this one. Every now and again, the channel will see a new type of series that's a very different structure of video. I'm talking stuff like Animal Crossing New Leaf based on viewer input and on creations, or Splatoon being both a story playthrough while being a multiplayer guide. The next series coming out on the channel is going to be like this. It might not be immediately obvious when it's revealed, but it will be something that is a completely new type of video structure, and that's something that I'm really excited to see happen. Really, thank you for watching. I see some people say that they've been watching for years, and I see those same names writing to me on Twitter all the time where I recognize them from that long ago. Really, just thank you to everyone who helps with these videos. Thank you to you for watching, and yeah, I know it's a massive collaborative effort, and it couldn't be done without everyone. See you back here for the next video.